Do you ever get bored or want to read some gossip? I'm sure most of you have. Did you ever pick up a magazine to do either of these things? Magazines go way back, and they are still around today, but they have changed a lot throughout the years. Today we are going to talk about the magazine's history. You see all kinds of magazines when you go into grocery stores, gas stations, and etc. I am one of those people who gets all different types of magazines when I go into the gas station or grocery store. I also like to get them sent to my home, so I am familiar with all different types of magazines. While we learn a little bit about the magazine's history, we will talk about when it was first created, how it has changed over the years, and where it is today. First, let's talk about when the magazine was first created. The first English language magazine was the Review. The Review magazine was published in London in 1704. Daniel Defoe was the publisher. Benjamin Franklin and Andrew Bradford were two of the people who were involved in the idea of the magazine in America. Neither Bradford nor Franklin's magazine did well, so the first successful magazine in America was the Saturday Evening Post. It was published in 1821. The Saturday Evening Post lasted until 1969. The magazine continued to grow over the next 39 years. So secondly, let's talk about how the magazine has changed over the years. The magazine was not so popular at first, but over the years it has grown. In 1825, there were fewer than 100 magazines, but by 1850, there were over 600 different kinds. During those times, most magazines were focused on the Civil War and slavery views. Magazines were so popular that it helped education. Everyone wanted to be able to read a magazine, so they had to learn to read. The National Geographic was published in 1899, and it was the most popular magazine when it came to cultural awareness and understanding it. In the 1900s, there was well over 5,000 magazines in America. When big things would happen in America, the magazine publishers would be sure to expose it. Big stories made the magazine sales go way up. In 1922, the Time magazine became the first weekly news magazine. The magazine called Life was published in November 1936. Life was the first magazine to have photojournalism. Life magazine had top photographers and often won prizes for their good photos. In the 1950s, the television hurt the magazine advertisement and circulation. In 1969, the Saturday Evening Post ceased its publication, and this was the first American magazine to be successful. In 1972, Life magazine was no longer a monthly publication. In the 1990s, magazines started being published on the internet. In 2000s, there were thousands of home-based publishers who published on the internet. I hope that this has helped you a little on how the magazine has changed over the years. Last, let's talk about where the magazine is today. Today's magazines are able to be sold for so cheap because of advertising. The advertising cuts out the expense of making the magazines and the shipping cost. The advertising part of the magazine is how the magazines make over half of their income. Most magazines have their very own website now as well. The most popular magazines today are mostly directed toward women. As you can tell, magazines are going to continue to grow for the better and as the economy changes over the years. Today, we have learned a little history on the magazine. We have talked about its creation in 1704 in London. The next we talked about how the magazine has changed over the years. There were lots of new magazines created over the years. Finally, we talked about the magazine today and how it has changed from when it first started and how it's different. So, the next time that you walk in a grocery store or any store that has magazines on the shelves, think of how it has changed and of how the variety has changed over the years. The magazine is going to keep growing just like it has over the past 304 years.